Hi, welcome to Actual Spinster. My name is Anna Marie. Before I show you books that I want to unhaul, there is a link in my description box to a GoFundMe for Allah and her family whilst they're stuck in Gaza, which if you can check out and donate, that would be great. So following on from my bookshelf organising that I did, I made like a video where I did that also. Because I got finally a second bookshelf. I also was like looking at some of the books on my shelves and wondering about keeping them or not, so I have come up with some books that I will be passing on. There are some that are kind of like on this like unhaul, but they're not being like unhauled in quite the same way because I'm like giving them to friends. Well, actually I think there's just one that is the case for. Yeah, I will begin, I guess. I've never made like an unhaul video before, so I feel like I'm in a new video format for me, so I'm just gonna talk through some of these, I guess, and kind of my reasoning. I guess there are a few that are sort of like more on the potential list, but I also kind of feel like I should get rid of them mostly. But yeah, I'll talk about them when I get to them, I guess. The first is this, For Esme with Love and Squalor by J.D. Salinger. It's a collection of his stories, and I've read the stories that I'm interested in reading from this collection. I love his Glass family stories, and so I read the ones that are related to those characters, that family, in this, which were, I think, A Perfect Day, Full Banana Fish, was it Uncle Wiggly in Connecticut, Down at the Dinghy, and I think those are the ones. I could be wrong. I also have like recently learned some stuff about Salinger that I didn't know before, and it has also kind of put me off Salinger generally. I kind of also want to do like more research on it, but anyway, I sort of coming through those, like knowing that like there's no way I'm gonna read more of the stories. Like I don't care that much about Salinger. I just loved his Glass family stories, which is partially because they came to me at a time when I was coming to terms with like grief about someone who had killed themselves, which is what like a lot of the stories are sort of about, or like maybe not a lot of them, but some of them are centrally about, because the eldest kid in the Glass family stories, whose name is Seymour, I think it's Seymour, he like kills himself as an adult, but like after they have this like prodigy intellectual childhood, and so yeah, like some of the stories are kind of about dealing with that, and I found them very comforting, very kind of strange reflections of my own experiences, or like not even reflections but strange sort of mirroring, strange like almost like dreamy transmutations. I think that's sort of why yeah, like I sort of have this idea of like holding on to this, but like there's no reason to. I thought the stories in this were good. I think A Good Day for Banana Fish is actually the story where Seymour kills himself. The next one is Castle in the Air by Diana Wynne Jones. This is actually like the second book in the Howl's Moving Castle like series, and I have had this book on my shelves for a really long time. I also have the third book in the series, which is House of Many Ways, and I recently like picked these up both out of storage because I was like, I'm in a kind of Diana Wynne Jones time frame. It's also partially because I have been reading more children's literature in the past like 2 years, because like reading kids books is nice to do alongside doing like PhD work. But I was looking at this book and I just actually was feeling like I don't really want to read it. I was looking at people's reviews, and actually one person whose review really helped me to decide to like get rid of this is like Marina's from My Name is Marina's. Her review on Goodreads, I think, talked about it having a lot of like fat phobia stuff in it, and maybe another thing I can't remember, but anyway, that really helped me because some of Diana Wynne Jones's work really has a lot of like fat hatred in, and I don't like that. I don't want to read that, and so knowing that was in here to like a fairly considerable degree made me fairly certain I don't want to read this. I also feel like it's probably pretty like Orientalist in its framing because of the setting and the vibe, and I don't really trust Diana Wynne Jones with that. So yeah, I think I am like happy to skip this one. Also, the reason why I can do it is because like they're in the same kind of series as the Howl's Moving Castle series, but it's not like a continuous character to character to character series. I'll be fine skipping this one and reading House of Many Ways, like it's gonna be okay. Okay, one book I have to show is this 14th edition of the Scottish Handbook. I just think that somebody else will find this more useful than I will. Also, I do think it's probably out of date. I don't know, but it's really cute. Maybe I should keep it. I'm gonna keep it. Okay, here is a book that I failed with. Actually, I think I failed. Okay, we'll talk about the 2 books that I failed with the most recently then, I guess. So this book is Women on the Early Modern Stage. It's like an anthology of 4 plays, right? A Woman Killed with Kindness, The Tamer Tamed, The Duchess of Malfi, and The Witch of Edmonton. I got it because my favourite Shakespeare scholar, Emma Smith, she wrote the introduction to this. I paid like £2-3 for it, so like it is okay, like it's not a very costly mistake, but the introduction is really very short, and also upon like having done this I realized that it's in my library, like they have this edition with the introduction, and I could have just read it from then. So I did read the introduction. The point is, I've read the introduction, and yeah. I will pass this on. It's also like it's not a very nice edition. I do feel silly, and you know, I should have just checked my library, and obviously like of course my library has a copy of this. Like that's so silly to imagine that they wouldn't, but that's me. I also did decide that I wanted like a separate edition of The Witch of Edmonton, which is in that, which is why I do have this copy. And I also just think, yeah, those are much easier to read than the larger like anthology versions. But I do also have another anthology like that already on my shelves, which I have been reading from. Like it's not like, yeah, it's just there's no need for it to take up lots of space on my bookshelves, and if I want to like reread the introduction I can, because I can like get it out of the library. Another book that I did fail with, which I think I talked about in a recent, I think it was my most recent book haul, because I got it and then I basically immediately read it, and that is When the Museum is Closed by Emi Yagi, translated by Yuki Tajima. I normally wouldn't like read a book and then immediately get rid of it, because it's like, what's the point of getting a book if you think you're just going to immediately get rid of it? But the reason why this is on this list is because I just failed. Like I thought the premise was so strong that of course I would want it to like be on my bookshelves, but in the end, like it's just not strong enough. Like it's kind of a weak book, and like there is no point in keeping it. Like I'm not going to reread it, and I just feel like it should be out in the world. I think, you know, part of this also is like books are supposed to be like circulating objects as well as like personal, individual, interactive objects, you know. Like I think it's silly to have them have like this level of like stasis after you've had your like experience reading it, if you're never gonna like return to it or something. Like that's why I think it's like really nice and just like good to like lend out your books to friends and things, and to have them be circulating, and like it's also a way of sharing your own experiences and the ideas in the books. And like, you know, a book is obviously like an individual experience, but it is also like a collective thing, and like, or it can be, and I think it's like often quite edifying, is that the right word? Like often quite like powerful, or like it kind of reinforces some of the like depth of meaning in a book, or the like meaningfulness of an experience with a book, if you can like reinforce it with other people. And obviously that's kind of also booktube, right? Like talking about books with other people and sharing what we've read and recommending and reading people's recommendations and blah blah blah. But yeah, anyway, so that was like a long way to say like, yeah, I am really sad about this, but I just think it is silly to hold on to because there's no reason to. And like I said, I think somebody else will enjoy this themselves, you know. Let's see, where else should I go? Okay, so this book has been on my bookshelves for a really long time. It's a collection of short stories. So it's Baby Remember My Name, an anthology of new queer girl writing, edited by Michelle T. I think I sort of have to accept that I'm not a particularly like Michelle T queer writing person. I tried to read Black Wave by her, and it wasn't going to be the book for me. It had like an incredible sick cover, but like it just wasn't it wasn't it. And although these stories are not by her, I was looking at them and like the titles, and like some of them seem potentially fun, but as someone who like isn't a particularly strong short story reader, I just think this will do better with somebody else, and I think they'll probably really enjoy it if this is, you know, what they're looking for. Let's see, when was it published? So it was like originally published in like 2007, so yeah. There is one story called Titties at Stake, which you know, oh, Sunshine in the Fat End, that sounds fun too. Yeah, anyway, so hopefully somebody else will really like this. It looks like there's one that's maybe drawn. Oh yeah, there's sort of some like drawings in here. So then we have this, Courses to Communism, The Life and Times of Sofia Nalkowska, a biography by Jenny Robertson. I think I read this, so I've had this on my bookshelves for a really long time as well. I actually think I made a video where I read a chapter of it for like a try chapter tag to see if I was going to unhaul it. This was like probably 4 years ago, and I decided not to because it did seem really interesting, and I do think it seems interesting, and it has these like inserts as well. I just think like I'm not going to read this anytime soon. And I guess part of it was I was looking at the books on my like non-fiction shelves, because I kind of feel like I have so much non-fiction even though I'm not a very prodigious non-fiction reader. And so this was kind of one of the ones that I was just a bit like, I'm not going to read this anytime soon, and it is silly to keep forever. And I think, you know, were I to read it, I don't know that I would, like, I'm sure it would be interesting. I don't think it's like an incredible book or anything, like for me to check out. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I am gonna pass this on. It's about this Polish novelist who I think kind of her life spans basically the 1900s, which obviously was a very like intensive and changeable time period to live through. Two books that I also kind of have had for a long time, and then I read, I guess I talked about this actually most recently in terms of trying to read it, because this is A Woman's Apology by Leanne Dupuy, translated by Graham Anderson. I think, what, did I try to read it in August or something? I got like a few chapters in, I think I got like 50, 60 pages in, and I was just like so bored, and I actually think I also skipped ahead to the end. And I was like, yeah, the vibe's not here. It is a real shame. I wanted to be like interested in this, but I just wasn't, and I just didn't think it was like an interesting or compelling story, and it was just a bunch of like rich lesbians being like melodramatic. And obviously sometimes that's what you're looking for, but sometimes that's boring and you want proletarian lesbians being melodramatic, you know? And then the other book is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I also started to read. This has also been on my bookshelves for a really, really long time. And again, it was kind of like one of those ones where I was like, I should try and like read this to see if I want it, because it has been here for a while. And I don't remember how far I got in, like 70 pages maybe. And I just like, it's not that it was bad, I just kind of felt like it would be a bit meh. Yeah, I don't know, I have been wanting to read more sci-fi kind of on purpose. And so I sort of hoped that I would feel like I wanted to read this. But I just, yeah, it just wasn't, there wasn't like a spark for me as a reason to keep reading, you know? So I think I'm gonna pass on it also. Sorry to the people who love this series. One of the books that is in this unhaul but is not really being like unhauled in like a real way, because I'm giving this to Mari to read. So this is Little Fish by Casey Platt. So yeah, I feel like the vibe is different because I'm giving it to her, because I mean this is like a really fantastic, wonderful book. I loved it so much, and I'd like her to read it. And I think she will enjoy it too. So yeah, I talked about this I think in February of last year, which is when I read it, I think. And yeah, it's about this trans woman called Wendy. That's right? Yeah. I was gonna call her Winnie, but it's because she's in Winnipeg. Not the same thing. And she has like Mennonite family, and it's kind of about her like grappling with family history, the potential of having like sort of trans or like queer ancestors, and just like living life. It's a very like wintry book. It is also about like addiction. Yeah, I would really recommend this book. It's not in this book on haul because like I don't think it's a good book. Like I give Mari good books, you know, so. Okay, then I have some books that I'm not sure if I'm gonna unhaul. I kind of feel like I should probably unhaul them, at least two of them. So this is Pseudotooth by Verity Holloway. I have not read this, and it's probably one of the books that has been on my TBR for the longest, and sort of like, you know, I think it's like interesting. I read the back, I'm like, okay, interesting, but I just have no desire to actually read it. I'm pretty sure I even have like read the first chapter of this in a kind of like trying a chapter of each of these books, and have kept it, but like have never been actually compelled to like keep going. It does feel sad because, like I said, I do think that it has some vibes that are interesting. So I do feel like maybe though I have kind of grown out of some of the things that made me interested in this in the first place, which is specifically the kind of representation or like exploration of like sickness in literature, which like I'm not like against reading about now, but I just feel like I was searching for it in a really particular way because I was like desperate for like comprehension, diagnosis, understanding, and now I have some of that. I don't feel like the sort of incredible need to find it in literature, especially because I think you just actually have to come to terms with the fact that there is always going to be this kind of mystery around your health when you have like a health condition like I do, in a way that like I can't manage my way out of. So I don't know, I feel like what I'm looking for there is like very different. But yeah, so this is about a young woman who has like unexplained blackouts and pseudo seizures. So she's sent to recuperate in the Suffolk countryside with aging relatives. She seeks solace in the work of William Blake and writing her journal, filling it with pages of her visions of Theodore, a fiery East Londoner haunted by his family's history back in Russia. But her blackouts persist as she discovers a Tudor priest's hall and papers from its disturbed former inhabitant. Soon after, she meets the enigmatic Chase and is drawn to an unfamiliar town where the rule of our friend is absolute and those deemed unfit and undesirable disappear into the quiet. I don't know. Let me know if you think I should keep this. Okay, and then another book is The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan. I read this a few years ago and I really loved it. I don't think I'm going to reread it, but I did really love it when I read it. I think I did give it 5 stars, but I actually think kind of it's probably more of like a 4.5 star book. I don't know that it's a 5-star book, but like it's great. It had a lot of things I love. Like it's set at the circus. It's about like sort of queer reproduction stuff. It's like sapphic, and yeah, like it's very like sea level. It's kind of a cli-fi book, I guess. But this is often when I'm going through my books, like in the past few years when I've been moving or whatever, I've like sometimes put this in like a maybe I should unhaul this, and every time I haven't. But I do feel like because it's really been on that edge for a long time, and it's not like I've read it again, you know, and I'm not really lending it out to people. Although maybe I should see if somebody would like this who is a friend. Maybe that's what I'll do. And then that's kind of like a soft breakup, and then I can pass it on into the world. Yeah, maybe I will do that because it just seems silly to keep on my shelves when like I did love it, and one of the reasons why I first kept it on my shelves was, even if I was like I probably won't reread this, is because I was like it was like one of my favorite books of the year, which is true, but like it's not like a favorite now, if that makes sense, you know. And so it feels like it's not a favorite enough to keep. I'm not rereading it. Like, what am I doing with it? I don't know. It also, I feel like a lot of the choices I've made in this, like it is kind of arbitrary, you know, like sometimes I want to keep a book because I want to keep a book, and like that's fine. But I do have like limited space, and I want to keep fairly like on top of my, well, I don't know that I like need to, but like I feel like in 2023 I brought so many books into my home, and it was actually very stressful and not fun, and so I'm trying to like recover from that, get myself in a better position in terms of my book collection. I also want to be able to be like, I'm just going to keep this book because I like the cover, or like I think it's nice to have on my bookshelves, or I want to have the series, so I'm going to keep it even if this book wasn't particularly good. Like I want to be able to make those decisions, which also I think means sometimes I have to be a bit more rigid about other decisions around like the books I keep or not. I hope that makes sense. So this book I think I'm gonna put back into the English faculty department, which is where I got it from. I might keep it because like I do love these editions, which are like New Mermaids Methuen drama copies of plays. So this is Afroban's The Rover, but I read this year and I did not like it. I found it in the English faculty department, so that's why putting it back there would be like cyclical. It is also on like an undergraduate course reading list, I don't know which one, like, so that's obviously why it was there and also why it would be useful to put back. But then like, you know, I am collecting these, so it is maybe silly to get rid of it, so I don't know. I also, if I want to keep collecting these, then like I think I should collect ones that I want. And again, I don't have like that much space, and I'm not going to collect like so many, so I don't know. It does also feel like kind of nice to put back into the English department because I read it, and again it's like a circulating book. It's almost like libraries are really great, huh? So the last things that I have to talk about actually are these, which I guess you can't really see on camera, but these are my History Workshop journals. The History Workshop is still going, I believe. I'm not sure that they produce like a physical magazine. I'm pretty sure they make stuff online, like they publish stuff online. Basically, if you can see there, it says a journal of socialist and feminist historians, and this one is from spring 1989. When I started my PhD, I was looking in a charity shop and there was like a box of 15 of these. And obviously it was like, they were secondhand, they were like pretty cheap, so I bought them all, and it was like, you know, an exciting time. I was like beginning this like new kind of adventure, and like, you know, I work on like socialist feminism basically, so I was like, I am obviously intrigued by this socialist and feminist like history journal. So there are actually a few more that should be on this unhaul, but I have kept, I would say I'm getting rid of half of the ones that I got, partially because some of them I just actually don't like, I won't read anything from them. Others it's because I have read sections from them and I think I'm done, and others I have like not yet read from them, but I photocopied some things from them. I think maybe I photocopied ones from these two, but I can't remember. I have them like at my desk on campus. So yeah, I'm gonna put these back into the charity shop economy. And I think other people will also really enjoy them. I also might offer some of them to friends, because some of them are like more special issue than others. So one of them, like this one is, I mean, the other thing is like historical research, obviously. It's both really interesting to read that was from the past, but also some things are just wrong and have been updated because of new like information. You can't just like 100% rely on these. But yeah, so this, for example, is a Latin American history version from autumn 1992. This one is a special American issue from 1986. This one is special feature language and history from 1989. And then this one doesn't really have like a special issue feature, but it does say that it has like homosexuality and signs of male friendship in Elizabethan England article, and history of the nation and the schools Moscow feature. And this one's from spring 1990. You know, part of me wants to keep them, but I also just think like it's silly to keep all of them when you know, somebody else could be reading and learning from them, or cutting out the pictures. This one actually doesn't have that many pictures. One of the things that is really fun about reading these, I've been talking for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. One of the things that, I'm so sorry about the length of this video. One of the things that is really fun about some of these is that they have like people's work in progress that then was published later and came to be kind of like seminal in the field. Like for example, I have kept the version where this is the case because I want it. But like I have one issue that has the kind of work in progress paper from Judith Wolkowitz, who wrote, oh, I'm forgetting on the name, but it's like City of Dangerous Delights, I think is what it's called. And it's about Victorians, Victorian like literary and political culture. And the point is, like, they have published like a sort of version of some of that work that was later published as this like full book, and so that's kind of fun, and like that's, yeah, I like that. Let me know your thoughts about Pseudotooth. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop talking now, and I hope you're having a good day when you're watching this, and I will talk to you when I next talk to you. Bye. Oh, bye.